Our second session is joint clinic, and we are trying to gather critical assessment of journals edited by the participants. And now we are listening to Quran.
The idea was that we work on this during this session, but Balkan Medical Journal already did the assessment of their journal. I just want to show you where this comes from, and then maybe we can work on the other journals, and we can discuss whether this was useful. Actually, this is something that INEST is the International Network for the Availability of Scientific Publications. These are mostly information scientists, librarians who work with developing countries in improving access to scientific information. They work with librarians, and then this is they are charity organizations, and this is the group that put more than 200 African journals online. They created AJOL, African Journals Online Database, where they made really a great effort, and it was the effort of Pippa Smith, who you know, who worked on using the OJS abilities to publish African journals. And we know that for African journals especially, their visibility is really very low. So at some point long time ago, and I came on this checklist I think more than 10 years ago, when they had like a checklist for editors to see whether their journals satisfy the basic criteria for inclusion in a database. So whether all the technical things are in there, so that when you come for evaluation in a database, at least you would know that the technical details are correct. And this is something that is very important because when people are evaluating, if they see sloppily done journal, if it's not on good paper, if the fonts are different throughout the text, if pictures are not uniform, if the references are not written correctly, then they say if the technical quality, the presentation quality of this journal is as it is, that usually means that the content is not good. So in order for people to see the good content of your journal is that you first have to bring it up to the level of quality of the journal production, or what publishers look for it, and what actually the people that get a copy, now it's different because they also evaluate your website, or when they get it in your hands or see it on the computer, that they know that you have done it professionally well. And then they don't have to look at that, they look at the content and the quality of the journal, which is the most important aspect of evaluation for a database. So, and now they have revised it. Before it was just a small checklist on 4 pieces on 4 pages. Now you see it's a big document, and they have a related document which has more than 100 pages. So it goes through each of these lists, provides resources where they have taken these pieces of advice that you see in this list, and then explains why this is important and how you go about addressing these things. So I didn't want to be copied because it's really too many pages, but I have it on this computer, so you can copy it on a stick, and it's still not published at the INEST's webpage, but people said that we can use it and distribute it as it is, because it's under revision, still a bit of revision to be done, but it can be used. It's a really good resource for any journal, and I think you can share that too, because it really helps to look at things that we, because we're not professional publishers, we don't look at them easily. So I will just kind of show what they have. So they, as I say, address each of the little tables that you have in this document, and then they, for example, section, editorial quality, editorial structure. Then it has online resources and referencing where you can read about these things, and then it tells you why it's important, what you have to do, how you work with the editorial team, different pieces of advice, and so on and so on. So this is something that is very useful and what we did for the people that maybe didn't get it, so it's only, did you send it? Okay. So this is a series of questions for editors and for journal to address different aspects of the editorial work, from the editorial quality, the production process, and so on and so on. So I think it would be good if we can go through this table and Jem presents your views on the Balkan Medical Journal, and we may then discuss some of the issues if you have any questions about what it means and why this is important. So we have first a section on editorial quality. And one is, do you have appropriate editorial structure? So they will look, people who evaluate your journal, for example, for Medline. Are you applying for Medline this year, or when is your Medline?
We have applied last year.
Okay.
We received
Next year.
3.3. We should have 3.7.
So you can apply again in 2 years, so it will be the next year.
Maybe this year again, because we have been accepted to Conference Central.
No, still.
It should be shorter.
No.
There are some examples for that.
I don't know.
I
Usually
asked
you
the
wait.
publisher to.
Okay. Okay. So this is what they look. They want to have a clear picture of your editorial board, the affiliations, and so on. So,
We received 4.
okay. So can you comment on this for your journal?
Maybe Okan can say it, because
Okay, sure.
We have some problems. I checked the list and I saw that, for example, the question number 9, we have any procedure for replacing and adding the editors now, so we have to revise our system, I think.
So how, I mean, this is something that has kind of legal thing, and this is what we had in the Croatian Medical Journal, and we published about that, How you regulate what we do? Who appointed you to be the editor? Do you have any contract as a journal or as an editor with your funding agency or your university? What's the legal framework for the journal?
usually when the rector changes,
Okay.
then he asks you if you could do this or not.
He changes his team for every point.
And then editor-in-chief may decide whom to work.
Okay.
Then you become free, but at the first time, rector decides who will be the editor-in-chief.
Okay.
And
And when the rector changes, there may be another.
yeah, they may be another editor.
But is there any document you sign in
No,
a contract or
no.
anything?
I was thinking about that at that time, and I asked to my colleagues, and we discussed, and we thought that this is not a custom yet, and we don't have written rules for that. So first of all, you should make a written rules, prepare written rules, and the senator will accept this, the university senator, and then it will continue like this. And we are now preparing these rules together with Mustafa.
And this is what we actually had in the Croatian Medical Journal. We've been through there and we had an agreement, because we started, my husband and I wanted to make a journal, and the dean said, okay, yes, there is a room, there is a computer, go and do it. And when you are not, and when you are nobody, you don't care. But at some point, especially when there were these scandals, when the editor of JAMA was sacked, and then the editor of New England Journal of Medicine was sacked, and there were problems because they didn't have contracts and this and that. Then we started thinking, well, I mean, who are we responsible to? Because we didn't have any document except the minutes from the meeting of the initial editorial board where the dean was, and we had this as an only formality. So we said, okay, but we would need to regulate us as a journal, because you're already indexed, and you have an impact factor, you're becoming important, and we would like to make it more secure so that and this is the worst, the next dean comes or the next director comes, and everything that you did may just go down the drain because somebody else will be appointed who will completely change or will not know anything about the journal and may destroy the journal. So we wanted to make kind of a journal safe so that changes in the environment would not affect the quality and the editorial independence of the journal. And we actually worked for 2 years with a judge from the administrative court. I know, because we have a French system where the administration is ruled by a separate court which looks at contracts and so on and so on. You know, so kind of rules of behavior in legal system. So that's separate from the, I don't know, penalty laws and so on and so on. And then we made an official document which was called the Agreement on Croatian Medical Journal. It wasn't a contract, but such an agreement from the legal point of view has the power of a contract. And in our system, legal system, if you have disagreements about the contract, you have to seek legal aid, whatever, there is this mediation process or whatever. There is a legal process if people do not agree anymore how to terminate this agreement and contract and what to do about disputes that are developed. So it is kind of legally binding, which is very important because it makes you safer as a journal. So we worked with for 2 years, and we made it, you know, we described, as it says here, you know, do you describe who does what and what are the responsibilities of different bodies within the journal, what you have to do as an editor-in-chief and so on and so on. And we actually have that published in Croatian Medical Journal. We published the template of the contract. I can send it to you. You can send me an email sometime that I remember. And then we made agreement with the deans at that time, because we didn't have an owner, because we thought that we are an exercise of the whole Croatia. So we decided that our owners are all 4 medical schools in Croatia. So we got all 4 deans together to sign this and to agree, because with us schools are independent bodies, they are legal bodies, not the university, but the schools have the right to do whatever they want within their rights. So we didn't have to seek university approval, just the medical schools. And what was good is that we made that whatever they want to change in the journal, all 4 rectors need to agree. It's by consensus. And you know how difficult it is that they agree, because there will always be one against it. So that was safe for the journal, because they would rarely agree that something has to be changed. So
how many medical schools in Croatia?
4.
It's also difficult.
Sorry?
It's also difficult. In Turkey, I think about 80...
100. About 100.
About 100.
Mm-hmm.
It's impossible for us.
Yeah, okay, but you're
For
Balkan.
only one medical journal, for example.
Yeah, but you can have one basis, which is this university and so on. So you can see within the university, because we're also international journal, but we made our agreement locally in Croatia, because, you know, we said that, you know, the medical school in Zagreb, which is our, where we were located, owns more. They have more power than the others. Okay. So when in the members of the executive board that is running the management of the journal, not the editorial boards and so on. But I don't think we have time to discuss in this, but I can send it to you and see. You can see, and then you can take what is relevant for you and see. The best point, I mean, the important point for an editor is how to protect the journal so that it is not influenced by everyday academic politics. That is what is important, and how to protect the editorial freedom. As I told you yesterday, at some point when we didn't want to play along the roles, I mean the games that our dean wanted, that she gets power to decide what is going to get published in our journal or not. It was very useful for us because this was a legal document, and they could only officially change it, which was impossible according to the document. So you have to make it work for you the best way to do. And then, you know, at that time, Dean signed, the previous Dean signed, and she couldn't then dissolve it. So you see, because this is something that is asked if you want to be a professional journal. Editorial structure, is it right editorial budget? Do you have a clear list of roles and responsibilities of the members? Do you have an agreement with the publisher and owner? And this is the owner that is most relevant for you and which you don't have. Yeah? So you have to work on that. Are they clearly identified in the journal? They are. Does the editorial board clearly mention support the aims and objectives of the journal? What do you
We have problem with the number 4. We do not have a clear list of roles and responsibilities for all the members of the journal.
Yeah,
So
and this is what
this could be included in this policy.
Yeah,
maybe.
we also had in this agreement every role, not individual person, but every role that you have in your office or board was defined, their responsibilities and privileges. Also, editorial policies, how are you faring there?
Not bad.
Not bad. Good, good, good. So what, are your answers all yes?
Mostly, yeah.
What, is there anything that could be improved?
Actually, we have no established style how the journal deals with the corrections of errata. We do but there's no rule.
It's not stated. It's
Yeah,
not stated.
but we do.
Okay. And do you have stated how you deal with appeals?
Yes, we have an appeals part, and we are now. Last year we invited a well-known person to be as the ombudsman of the journal,
So it's external person.
but he was too busy, and now we invited another well-known person. He is also from Ankara, from our institution, and he was also too busy for that. And
But it's not much work, I suppose, is it?
But he thought that it would be much ethical to advise, to suggest us another person who has more than 20 years editorship experience and was the editor of the highest department of Turkey. And then I will ask to the owner, to the dean, about this suggestion. This is nowadays, and then we will invite him. I hope he will accept this time. But we have an ethics editor, and we wrote our instruction to authors if there is some comments, some complaints about editorial decisions. First they should send to editor-in-chief about their comments, and we discussed the editorial board if we can resolve it. If he doesn't, the author doesn't satisfied about this, then they can send it to other to the ethics editor. We have written.
That's nice. How do your two journals fare? And I don't know, you probably didn't have time to go through this.
Completely difficult in our journal. We have ethical issues, copyright, of course, journal names and scope, but it's different.
Okay, but this is something usually you don't think of. You think of these things separately and put it, you know what you have to put generally, but it's good to have this structure form to go through it and see what else you have to work with. How is it?
Can I answer the first follow-up or go straight to the second?
Which one? The one?
Regarding the editorial board, we used to be owned by Hippocrates Hospital, who actually, its scientific committee created the journal. From creation, the editorial board was independent, and it had rules of how to function, how to replace its member every 2 years.
So it had a written.
We have rules which are written, but they're still in Greek, which has to be changed in English. Now, due to financial crisis, we're not financed by Hippocrates anymore, so we made all the legal documents, and now we created a society, which is a legal form of, we created a society which is a not profitable society, called Friends of Hippocrates Journal, which actually financially support, and now we took over the ownership of the journal as well. And that's a recent thing. Over the last 3 months, we were in negotiation with the hospital. So actually now we own the journal, and we try to establish some things that are still missing. So we do have editorial policies, we do have certain rules, certain things that each person of the editorial team will do, but we'll try to actually increase the roles now, because we are currently on doing the online submission, so we need section editors, which we used to have, but it was informal. Now we create formal. We used to have an ethics editor. We don't have an editor, an external editor for claiming coming from authors. Now, with regards to the second lot of questions, I think the answer is yes to all but the one regarding appeals. Appeals, we discussed them in the editorial board, we do a quality assurance procedure in order to make sure that we didn't actually, that we did make justice, but we don't have an external reviewer, an external editor. When we need corrections and erratum, we do that on the electronic form, because once you print the printing form, you can have an errata in another issue, but you make sure that only the electronic database is worth actually intervening, especially if it is something that is quite important for academic reasons, like names, affiliations, and things like that. Copyright and ethical policies we have established. Advertising, we do have that because it's quite important for our funding. And we have pay charges, and pricing is clear in
I
our
think
website.
this is more about editorial policies, whether, because some journals, especially those, big ones that attract a lot of advertisements, so they have a rule that the advertisement shouldn't be next to the article that is describing the drug.
All right. Oh, no,
So it's more about policies, who decides where advertisement is going to be placed and so on, so that you kind of separate the message
we can only offer
the
the cover.
advertisements and the content of the journal.
We offer only the cover because it's the only part which is in color in our printed version. So, and but we don't have much advertising anyway.
Yeah, anyway, but I think for small journals it's not
We have
a
no
question. We also, yeah, okay. So how about efficient, effective editorial office? Okay, how did you
I think most of
rate it?
them have to be improved,
Okay.
except 8 and 9.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have to improve. Yeah, we have some, but
But you have an online system which makes it easier, at least for an oversight of.
We don't have a secretary for this.
we need full-time secretary to handle everything. But
Yeah. Is the university providing any personnel for you?
Yeah, they provide, but she's already working in another place and come sometime like that.
Yeah, that may be difficult, and definitely somebody dedicated to
Yes.
all the administration is useful. But again, when you're small and don't have enough resources, it's difficult. And you're not making money. Are you do people pay to publish
No.
it? No. Will you consider it as an option in future?
We did it before, 2 years before. Each submission, authors pay little amount, about 70 euros.
Each submission
Each
or
submission.
published?
Each submission.
70 euros.
Because we didn't ask for of the applications, so it could be a conflict.
They took the American. This is American
This is
example.
really a lot for me as an author. Pay 70 euros, and I don't know if it's
Yeah.
published.
This is,
But this is the same. This is what American journals say. Submission is $50, regardless of the outcome. Many
This is
journals
why
pay
I
that.
always choose journals without.
yeah, this is going to be stopped.
Yeah. But for accepted articles, you can ask, if your article is going to be published, you pay APC, article processing charges,
Yeah,
publication charges.
yeah,
So especially now, the more importance you get, and if your impact factor increases, then you will have more pressure, and then the people would like to publish it in your.
yeah, we have a lot of experts 1,250 each
Really?
year.
Oh, that's quite a lot.
Submissions.
Yeah. And how much do you reject?
We reject 93%.
Wow, just like the last.
Oh, there is a similarity there.
Yeah, there is. And what about editorial rejections? How do you reject right away? Because you know,
About
because,
80%
Yeah.
of rejection.
yeah, this is what big journals say. For example, Lancet says that they reject almost 70% right away, and 30% they send out for peer review.
Almost.
And then they end up with accepting, I don't know, from 6 to 9% of the papers. So, yeah. At least something. So this is, you know, office and personnel. I think it's the part of the publishing process that we are not doing well in small journals. Very often you have, you know, if you're with a publisher, they take over some duties. You know, they provide you with the office, and there are even some publishers, like you can join Biomed Central, for example, now as a journal, and be published through Biomed Central, and they will provide all the secretarial task and, you know, contact the reviewers and everything in there. But again, you have to ask for publication processing, publishing fee, and part of it goes to them, part of it goes to you. Or there are some independent editorial offices. You can rent an editorial office, for example, in Scotland. They do it for you. You pay a certain fee, and it's like, you know, kind of shared secretariat. So they handle several journals. And
We have received several invitations about that for our journals. And also they came from Poland and with us. We made a roaming special. But the settlement was in Germany.
German.
What do you suggest us? What is
so
your
they
experience?
want to be a publisher, or they want to provide.
Publishers and
Provider.
Yeah. I don't know. We also got offers from Springer, from Elsevier, and that, and we didn't accept because, you know, it restricts your editorial freedom. Because they do it because of money, and we do it because of, you know, some idealistic aims.
Very
And so.
famous, so don't you think that it would be good for a journal with a severe title?
I don't know. You know now. What would you?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think they would be influencing your editorial freedom as Anna Musk, former member of ICMG, or I don't know, president. When this was offered to you, it was 10 or 15 years ago.
No, it was like 10 years ago. And we were already a well-known journal, and we thought that we want to do it our way, that we want to be open access, not that nobody pays anything, and we didn't want to get into commercial issues. But maybe the time is now to change.
Who knows?
The thing is, because we had this argument that the editorial board, as we received several offers, actually to be partially bought or to be fully bought or without changing any editorial policy, the main argument was that now we have paid charges just to survive the financial issue, which are not substantial. For example, one who wants to go publish a 4-page original article has to pay 10 euros per page. So if it exceeds a limit, then it's going up. But up to a reasonable amount of pages is 10 euro per page, which is not really a big amount of money. So we did receive a lot of manuscript. But if you're to be in such an organization, then they will probably increase the pay charges, and that will affect to the manuscript flow towards the journal. So once reduced, you have to reduce your indexing as well, because you won't get good manuscripts. And as a consequence, after a couple of years, they will make some money of you, and you will drop your quality, and you will be in a position of not negotiating this continuation of the contract, and they will say, okay, goodbye now. and you continue in the war situation, and they will have made money. So at the end of the day, all these publishing companies are aiming for the money, not to create better publishing interval. So that's my understanding. So I'm not always positive in these proposals.
Maybe the money comes if you have quality, and this is why they are also aiming at high quality.
Yeah, the thing is to maintain it.
Oh, well, it's, I think it's up to
Tough
the decision of each individual journal, what is better for them at that time. Maybe in 10 years' time it will change, it may be different, but still different. So what about number 4 here on the tutorial?
The problem, we have one note, it's the 8th question, we do not add reference links to online articles, technological stuff. And the first question, copy editing is a professional work, so we have no professional for copy editing.
So you don't do copy editing?
We do ourselves, but it's amateur stuff, it's not professional.
So you don't have a language editor?
No, we have language editor, we have outsourcing this stuff.
Okay, but that's kind of copy editing, that's what is meant by copy editing mostly. A little bit of other things, but mostly to unify the style.
We have in English, but not the style.
Okay. And somebody checks for spelling, grammar, references. You have the
Yes, our publisher checks.
Our publisher
checks, and the English editing is done in United Kingdom. Proofreading service.
So what's the benefit of the publishers that you have your journal? How do they earn money?
Cheaper than the others. Our publishers.
We pay them.
We pay.
Are you paying?
It's different in Balkan area. Publisher is not a publisher, it's a publication office. So probably you have publication office, you don't have publisher. It doesn't have the ownership. You have the ownership. So it's wrong term, the publisher. You should replace that with publication office, because it's only doing the printing for you. It's not ownership, it doesn't do the proofreading, it doesn't do anything at all.
They do the preparation, print process.
Yes, but this is publication office, it's not publisher.
Full text editing.
Yeah, it's still publisher means that he has the ownership and he rules the proofreading process.
The order is completely different.
Yeah, it's very different with English language. We also have a clear difference between the owner and the publisher. For publisher, we have a word that says nakladnik, which is the guy who makes the printing.
Right.
So it is difficult. We also have owners and publishers, and actually our publisher does only.
What do you state in your journal?
I think we still have publisher for Croatian Medical Journal. Its publisher is the publisher from Croatia, but they actually, because we're doing everything in our office, they are actually only printing and distributing, nothing else.
Right. So if you have different IT providers, so we have different for the printing version, different for the electronic version. So we cannot say the one is publisher and the other one is what. So it's actually publication.
Print publisher.
Yeah, well, fair enough.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know. It's difficult because the legal structure and the contracts are different in the UK and United States and here. Because in the United States you also have owners. So an association may own a journal, but then they make the contract with Springer or Blackwell or whatever, and then the publisher takes over all the responsibilities. So, the editorial office, of all the management, of the online submission system, and the editor only has his office and he communicates with the
Who has the copyright?
Publisher. Depends.
Do you give your copyright to your publisher? Or is it
Copyright, Trakya,
Yeah, so it is the real publisher.
So Trakya is the real publisher. That's what I'm saying is printing It's not publisher.
It's kind of printing services.
But not
the
only
office, but
for
printing
printing,
service.
they are
Printing
editing
and-
the old manuscripts. They are
Yeah.
treating.
Then they provide services. These services are part of the services of the publisher, because the publisher has not the ownership, the spiritual ownership, which is the copyright issue, the legal issues. That's the publisher, but it's Trakya University which actually is publisher. Only in the last one, I would say that we put the link for all the online articles. The rest is yes, and we do them in the house of proofreading. We put the date of last access as well for the online. So the link and the date of last access.
Why is it difficult for your provider to add links to it?
We haven't decided to actually we can do.
In fact, the publisher do this during cross-check, but we don't have on the website.
We cannot click the reference now, but do we have to do?
No, I mean it's good because if you're providing XML to the PubMed Central, you need to have at least the DOI next to reference. I don't know how your journal
They do it.
Yeah, so if you're printing and if you're printing with PDF, if you have to download it, maybe in the printed version you don't have to, but online, the PDF can have these links which are active links. So when people are reading PDF on a screen, they click there and it takes them to the abstract. So there is no reason why not publish that. So for PubMed Central, do you have also the PubMed ID and DOI or just both?
Yeah.
Okay, so there is no reason why you should have it in a PDF online. Because they're actually doing more work. They're producing one version for the web and PDF on the web, and the other one for print. And there is no reason, it's easier to produce two.
Do you have HTML in the online version of the journal, besides PDF? Because if you use the same PDF, you can add all this in the XML, in the HTML code.
Do you have?
We have different HTML and PDF availability in the web, and we have XML for the PubMed. Something wrong with the internet connection.
Yeah, there's no wireless internet. It's not connected to internet. That's the problem.
İnternet bağla, yok. Bağlanamıyor.
Hocam şifre istiyor.
I thought it was something like this, but I couldn't confirm. Renew the page. Renew the page.
Yeah, you have to refresh.
Refresh the page.
Yeah, but still it's identified.
Yeah, don't.
Now,
We are so secure.
Now you both have medical journal. What is it?
Balkan Editor Workshop.
Bayramda rektörlerin altlarında oluyor mu? Hocası varsa şikayet neye güvenli ondan dolayı yine fake yapabilir.
So when we have, for example, original articles and we open full text and we go to references, So you have only crossref. Where is DOI? There is no DOI, only crossref, which is DOI. Yeah, it is DOI. I don't know why it's crossref. Why are they putting only crossref? Because people that, I mean, somebody who is reading doesn't understand this. So you don't have a link. But how come? Do you have a link to PubMed ID on PubMed?
Yes, the white pages issued on email. Finished the work.
Ah, okay.
We search the other elections. We should search for the other ones.
Aşağıda. Aşağıda araba yeri var.
If you put Balkan Medical Journal in bracket GO, then it filters only for the
You see, you have how come they add this?
because this
PubMed, or is it?
this is different. This is XML code, but actually PubMed Central forces you to include that in the XML, which we might not have in the PDF.
Yeah, but it's the same. I mean, you can have this in the PDF. At least you can have it online.
Yeah.
Do you have it when you're online? You have only abstract online. And
Full
Yes, only abstract.
All right, so
So-
you don't have full text in HTML.
yeah, just the abstract.
They said
Because-
that it's extra.
We pay about 300 per issue. 300 for the HTML and 300 for the XML.
But maybe link to PubMed can be included.
Yeah,
Maybe you can provide
HTML
a
version
link,
is online in
Yeah, put
PubMed.
link to PubMed Central. I think that would
we
be.
work with this link.
It's easier
Yeah.
and cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I see there is no reason, because people like to send them, but even if I'm reading a PDF and it's there and I come to a reference, I would like to click on PubMed and go there. So there is no, because they are doing this, I don't know how they do it at which stage, but I don't see a problem
There's a
there.
homepage after publication.
So they do it on PDF, you have or what?
They send PDF to the United States and another company.
Aha, that produces this.
So they send
How much do they charge?
It's not too much. I don't remember how much they bought this, but it's included in the publication.
Ah, okay. Okay. A bit complicated.
Yeah, but do you think that if you put the link to PubMed,
It will be better, I think definitely.
we said that this and they are now preparing the new version to include it. Link to PubMed.
Okay. Do you publish sufficient articles of appropriate quality? Okay, how are you doing
Yes.
this?
Yes. There are two problems. Number 5, we do not have an established system of for finding new content and new others. We have no system. We are looking forward, but only by chance.
I mean, big journals can afford it. For example, Lancet is present at all major conferences. They do lectures, workshops. They make They organize workshops at a conference about writing, and that's the way how, you know, when they hear something on a conference, they invite people to submit to the last and so on and so on. But it takes money and resources.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you as professionals are on different conferences, so using a kind of a non-systematic approach, which is
Yeah, we're
another
distributing our journal.
yeah, it could be improved, but I wouldn't say that there is no, but you're doing every effort to attract publication, but not in a systematic way where you're having a policy and somebody is taking care of it and being paid for that and so on.
We asked our rector to see that he accepted that now our university will support us each year. All of the members of the editorial board can attend to a congress in the Balkans by the support of university.
Okay.
Then they go there and they meet the colleagues there.
It's more or less personal work. I mean, whenever I go, or other members of the editorial board going in congresses in Greece or in the Balkan region, we have in the car or in our luggage issues of Hippocrates. We just give it around and sometimes introduce the journal to new potential authors. And actually we seek the publication flow towards Hippocrates, which sometimes works, and sometimes doesn't work. The other thing is you can actually introduce the journal to the universities of Turkey, because there might be some universities that they don't know your existence.
Turkey, we are well known.
All right.
But you know, this is what we also did with Croatian Medical Journal. We are the official publication of 4 medical schools, but we also invite different associations that we are their official publication for. I don't know, we have the support from the Croatian Academy of Medical Sciences, we are their official journal. In this way you attract people who are interested in publishing, you increase your
For example, Balkan Society of Otolaryngology.
yeah, they can say that you are their official publication, and they, you know, maybe you can have theme issues on ENT once a year, every 2 years, and that would be great for them. And then they will have the authors, they may be interested to contribute financially, you know, so that they buy that many issues from the theme issue for the conference. And this is what we did with our forensic conferences. So they would always buy, we would finish it before the conference, and then they would buy, I don't know, issue for each of the participants, which was then a revenue for us.
All right. Well, we do the same thing, but the thing is, you said something about supplements earlier. Do you actually do double peer review process for the society and for the journal as well?
Not for the study, just for the journal. So they have a separate way of deciding who's going to talk at the conference and the topic at the conference. But they invite some of the participants of the conference to submit their papers to our team issue. And we then evaluate them through a journal peer review. Some of them would get published, some will not. And then we time this theme issue that it's ready before the conference. It's all done like we start a year before the conference, it's every 2 years. So we start a year before conference, we process the papers, and then they get published.
We offer the same, but we offer another option. We actually do supplements with the abstracts who are not indexed.
That's different.
Which is a good for gaining some money and reputation, but at the same time it's not indexed.
As long as it's not indexed, it's fine. You know,
it contains only abstract. You cannot index actually abstract in the PubMed, but we haven't examined it can be indexed in Scopus and isotopes of which actually index.
Or Web of Science, yeah. Because
Web of Science, yeah.
That would be important to ask. Yeah. Okay, what about, do you provide sufficient support for your authors?
Second question, actually we do not prevent them to make feedback, but we do not establish system for providing us systematic feedback.
Some journals have this like a survey, it's a mandatory survey, you cannot access, for example in BMJ, they do it once a year or something, you cannot access BMJ unless you answer the survey. They have it in that way. Or they send it to the authors, but it doesn't work. I think for me it's a little bit kind of obsolete. You'd rather ask, a few colleagues, and you probably get informal response and feedback from your authors. Yeah.
Others also, yes.
No.
Yes. Do you communicate
we do not,
within
like,
1 week?
We do not respond our queries within 2 days.
Yeah, I do this response at the same day.
But anyway, this would be the best of behavior, but very often it's very difficult for small journals to do. So just keep it as a kind of aim where it could go. Peer review policy. We have it until 12 or 12:30. Yeah.
12.
12. Okay.
We need much more
Yeah,
time.
okay, no problem. This was just more like a... What is it from peer review policy that you need most improvement in?
The last one, only the last one.
Yeah. Again, it's a technical problem. You need to have a system where you pool all the reviewers' comments, send it with your decision to everybody. But again, this is something that needs technical. This is where you are good at. You have policies, plagiarism, conflict of interest, ethical issues, presentation quality. So we don't need to go through this, but this is something what is expected from a web page. All of these elements need to be on the web page so that it's evaluated as professional. Is there anything that you
Only the
need?
last line.
Reference links, yeah. But anyway, you don't have the full content. You have a PDF. In PDF, you have link to crossword. But then this can be reference links. This can be links to PubMed Central. So you could improve, but it's not that you don't have it. I think.
Sorry, I want to ask about much more things about advertising. What is your opinion about scholarly journals to accept advertisements?
They all do. If somebody is asking you to advertise in your journal, I don't see the reason why you should, decline the offer to earn money. But as I said, there are rules. Is that a decision on this has to be done independently of the editor, but the editor decides where it's going to put it in. So the company cannot put it next to the paper about our drug. So there should be policies where these advertisements should be in the journal, so they don't influence the people who are reading articles in that. And that's the only thing that you have to take care of. But other than that, I see no reason why you shouldn't accept. If somebody wants to advertise in your journal, why not? It's a good resource for the journal to pay the secretary or whatever, if you can do. What about the printed journal? Again, this is what you have to have on the front page, on the inside pages, all of these elements, and it's a long list, as you see. It's a whole page of things that you have there. We didn't consider it's before publishing quality. It's a whole one page of what should be in the printed journals to read publications. Okay, you will look at that later on. And the publishing quality, you have to publish.
We have all of them. Yes, only the 10.
Only what?
10.
Where is 10? Yeah, there's only 6.
6.
There's a missing page.
Publishing quality. Because you printed twice content quality. You see content quality, presentation quality, publishing quality. Yeah, do you publish this? You have problems with 4, 5, and 6. Yeah, it's difficult for them. It's easy for a journal that has, but you have lots of articles. You could create all this. Do you have a written sustainability and publishing policy?
First one.
First one. Yeah. No?
Yes, no.
Do you have a written ongoing marketing strategy? Because I think we're not in the money-making business. I don't think that this applies to small and scholarly journals. Because, you know, it would be good, but we would take anything that comes along our way. But I don't
3,
think
4,
we have.
5, and 6. No.
Yeah. Do you have a comprehensive copyright policies?
6 one is probably okay.
So you see, I think you should revise to see whether you want to go with the license to publish and so on and so on. Okay. So you see, I mean, I think this is useful because then it enables to evaluate your journal before you send it out for evaluation to business organizations, because this is what they're going to look for. Not perhaps the marketing strategy, but you know, the website of the journal, the printed version of the journal, and so on and so on. So these are things that need to be done.
There are some questions missing there,
Yeah.
which I actually find in similar catalogs from Copernicus to be quite important, where they have the percentage of the received manuscript being international from abroad, and the percentage of your reviewer being international, and the percentage of your editorial board members being from abroad. It's an indication of how you operate in your, let's say, Croatian journal or your international journal. Because you might say, I'm international, but if the editorial board is 100% Croatian, the articles are 100% Croatian, and the reviews are 100% Croatian, you're Croatian in English language.
I think this is under the need to publish regularly the statistics on your journal. So a journal should every year publish, you know, the number of received papers and you know, accepted, rejected, and then you can add this as a value edit, and then that will be good for indexing services. Small editorial. We used to write editorials where we would summarize the citations and this and that.
In all these editorials that you mentioned in the Croatian Medical Journal, do you actually put the references as well?
Yeah.
So this is considered a self-citation.
But they may not be references to the journal.
All right.
They may be, you know, to editorial policies and
Yeah,
this
yeah,
and that. So they wouldn't cite what was published.
Is it counted as an article?
No, it's editorial method, doesn't count.
Yes, but
It goes up, citations go up.
Yeah, in the CV?
In the CV, yeah, it's in the other publications, yes. It is, they are not original articles, but they are other publications that show your kind of social engagement and contribution to the society. Definitely, I classify them as other publications. Yes, yeah, they are required in some countries for academic advancement.
Yeah, but for academic advancement, do we have time for another question or shall I close?
Sure.
What about the current situation in Croatia, which is it's a relevant but irrelevant question. I mean, do you suppose, does an academic is supposed to have original papers or have a mixture of letters, commentaries, editorials?
Original papers. There is a set, there is a requirement on the number of original papers, but then additionally, you have like a set of, I don't know, 11 or something criteria of which you have to satisfy 6. And among them is peer review, other...
They're introducing for us an algorithm now, which actually for each of your publication takes in account the position in the authors list, the impact of your contribution, and what kind of journal it is, and what kind of article it is. So a letter to Lancet is not better from an original article and that your first author in a decent journal. Because many of my colleagues, what they do is they have original and then they end with commentaries and letters to high impact factor in order to increase the impact, which is, well, it's an academic processing game, but it's...
Yeah, but you know, still if you write a letter to Lancet commenting on something, and if you write a research letter to Lancet, it's also different.
Yes.
Results. So it's a game that people play. Gemla that may be okay in general, but again, you know, how do you order, what is the position of the authorship? Usually in biomedicine, the first and last authors are important, and everybody is not
Yeah, well, we usually credit the first, the second, and the last. And if it is the corresponding as well.
So, awarding corresponding author is something that is completely bogus, because for journals, corresponding author is someone who is going to answer an email from a journal. It has no scientific value, because you know, it's perceived by editors, it can be a secretary, it can be whoever. It's just someone who is answering emails from them, from a point of view of what it really means. It doesn't have any scientific
It's more or less availability for answering.
Exactly. So many fields like chemistry, they put a lot of value on corresponding author, but for us it's, you know.
Do you think that it will be of value? Because we haven't utilized them, and we're thinking about the statistics, and to report this acknowledgement, equally contribution from authors.
It's something that is very modern and very fancy now. I mean, we do it, I did it in my new journal. I don't know if British Medical Journal has equal first authorships.
I mean, usually we see equal contribution for the first and second, or first, second, and third. The main researchers, they cannot share the first place, but with this statement,
they are considered in their promotion as first author. You even have last, equal last authorship. So the bosses, then they can use that for their grant applications to say we are bosses. So it's, you know, now even you have 5 first authorships. It's kind of proliferation and rather a misuse of these equal authorship positions.
Yeah, but it was fun.
No, you have to become a full professor. Okay, Cem, we are done. I think we have. Thank you. Continue communicating by email, and let's work. I'm going to ask you about that.
Now I want to introduce our editor-in-chief to speak for closing ceremony and certificate ceremony, please.
Dear Chairman, dear colleagues, I think it was a very useful workshop for us. Personally, I learned a lot of things, and I would like to thank again to our distinguished colleagues, Professor MARUŠIĆ and Dr. and also our guest, Stefanos Thearidis, editor of the Trakya journal, and our guests coming from outside of the Edirne, also for the organizing committee of this meeting. And also I would like to thank to my university for supporting us. Thank you very much.